Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we plant some foxglove. So let's go. I love foxglove. It is such a beautiful flower to have in the garden. It especially looks nice if you're trying to create a cottage garden. It's been a number of years since I've had it in my landscape, so I'm so excited to add it back this year. Foxglove is very easy to grow from seed. The best way that I like to grow it is actually using the winter sowing process. In case you're interested, I'll put a link to a video that I made showing you my process for winter sowing foxglove seeds. I have a few plants that I winter sowed 2 years ago, and this year they're blooming. Many times foxglove is considered a biennial, meaning you plant the seeds germinate, you have plants, the plants put on some size, but they don't bloom the first year. Then the following season, meaning the second year, they bloom for you. And then after they're done blooming, the plant will go to seed. After it goes to seed, you can either collect the seeds or let the seeds drop. And then what will happen is those seeds will germinate and basically the cycle will continue. Optimally, you would want a succession going on in your yard where you have flowers coming every single year. You would almost think that they are a perennial when in fact they're a biennial. Now I will say there are some foxglove that do come back year after year. They're considered a perennial. The plants that I grew from seed are not considered perennials that come back every year. So it's to my advantage to plant some that are blooming right now and then also plant some plants that will bloom next year. So let's take a look at what we have. Look at the blooms on this beautiful foxglove. It's not a very big plant, but it is blooming this year. Last year it did not bloom, so this is its year to shine. We'll be cleaning up the bottom of the plant, and when we're doing that, I want you to notice there is also a lupine seedling in here. A little bonus, we'll plant that out as well. Here's a small little foxglove seedling. Isn't it cute? You can see how tiny it is. We'll go ahead and we'll plant that out as well. We are currently in my backyard plant nursery. This is a place where not only do I overwinter plants that I'm not sure where I want to put them in my landscape, this is also a place where I sell plants to people in the local community. In fact, this is where I found those 2 plants that I just showed you. I have some more foxglove in here. One of them is beautiful. We're going to plant that one up as well. Let me bring you down to it. It started blooming a few days ago and it's hidden right down here. I've been looking at it and I've been thinking really hard, where do I want to place her? Here she is. Look how beautiful she is. So today is her day that we're going to plant her in the garden. In the nursery, here is another foxglove seedling. I have a few more over here and another one right there. And then as we head over to my rolling carts here, I have a whole bunch more. Right near my plant nursery, I thought a great place to put those foxglove would be on the other side of this little wall that I've created with fallen down trees or logs. Right on the other side, right here. Because I thought, how pretty would that look when you're coming up the driveway to see the foxglove blooming. And this is basically the start of what I call the long border. And if you just peek over the side here, this is the south side of my house. And all along there are a whole bunch of plants that love full sun. And there's a great succession of plants that come spring through fall. And eventually what I'm going to do is also tuck in a whole bunch of those seedlings of foxglove towards the back of this border. But for today's project, what we're going to do is we're just going to plant a few of the ones that are currently blooming over on this side here. So let's get started. So we'll just start by cleaning up the bottom here. I'm really excited to finally get these in the ground. And it'll be interesting to see, since this plant is pretty small and yet it's putting out a bloom, whether or not the plant will actually get bigger as the season goes on. These plants that are nearby are daffodils. I've left them up because I want the foliage to continue feeding the bulbs, but pretty soon, as they turn yellow, I will be cutting them back. Since this is not a terribly large plant, I can just use a small hand shovel to make the hole. And the goal is to have this plant not only bloom this year, but then go to seed and drop its seeds so that it can then create new plants for me. I'm going to add a little bit of water in the planting hole. The soil is actually pretty fertile here, so I'm not going to add any fertilizer at this time. And the roots don't need to really be roughed up much because it's not very pot bound or root bound. And I have a tag in here from when I winter sowed it. It looks like it's going to be a pale peach color. Just going to press down and put the soil back around it. And if I wanted to, I could come in here during the season and give it a little bit of a fertilizer like Miracle Grow or an organic fertilizer if I really wanted to. But I'm going to give it time and I'm going to see how it does. And I can give it a little bit more water. I think one of the hardest things for me has been where to place all of these foxglove. Since they drop their seeds, I know that they can maybe take over an area, but then again, I can always remove the seedlings if I want to and move them around the yard. There are certain areas of my yard that do get a fair amount of sun, so that's where I'm focusing on putting these plants. And I can even use my hand pruners and just cut off some of the bottom leaves that don't look so good. There is a lot of top growth happening here, but for the next few days, it's going to be about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere in that range. But nevertheless, I need to make sure I'm giving these plants plenty of water. Every day, I just should be watering them. Alrighty, she and her little friend are ready to get planted. I'm expecting that the plants may wilt a little bit during the day, but then they should bounce back at night and the next morning. As long as I keep them well watered, they should be fine. The way I look at it is better late than never. I need to get these in the ground. They're definitely better off in the ground than they are in their pots. Put some water in there. Since this foxglove is sharing a pot with the lupine, I'm going to try to very carefully separate the lupine out. I don't want the lupine so close to the foxglove. I would love to know if you have foxglove in your yard, and if so, do you know the variety? What kind is it? Have you had success winter sowing it, or do you just scatter the seeds outside? I would love to hear from you and just know your experience with foxglove. There, this is going to look so pretty in this new area. When it comes to the lupine, I might as well plant that here as well. I'm going to trial and test out what I think about having lupine as well as foxglove in this section of my yard. This poor plant is so beautiful, and unfortunately she is in such a small little pot. So that's all right. We are going to get her in the ground. I think my biggest hang up in my own garden space is finding homes for plants. I love growing them, but then I think a little too hard about where they should go, which is why many times when I first have a plant, either something I've winter sown or a plant that I've bought, I'm not quite sure where I want to put it in my garden, so it ends up down in my plant nursery, which is sometimes good but sometimes bad because this plant really is too large for its pot. So that's why with the rest of the foxgloves that I have that are smaller, they're just going to get placed right in the landscape. I'm sure they will be fine when they bloom. Sometimes it's okay to take chances and try plants in new areas. And if it doesn't work there, you can always move them. And that's what I'm learning when it comes to plants that are like lupine or foxgloves, plants basically that self-sow readily. Because I'm so used to trying to have that perfect place for a plant that sometimes I wait too long. And this plant is very, very large. It's very top heavy. The temperatures are starting to warm up and it really needs to be in the ground. Otherwise, what a shame. It's not doing well while it's just in this tiny little pot. You'll have to let me know if you're ever in that same type of situation where you think a little bit too hard about a plant. I feel there's a fine balance between just taking plants and plunking them in the ground all the time, but then having to move them, or having a plant in a pot for too long that the plant is actually starting to struggle. So I think we've done a good job with removing a lot of those leaves from last year. Let's go ahead and get this poor plant in the ground. And look at the roots. Well, you know what I'm going to be doing today? Today's focus is to shop my plant nursery, shop my rolling cart, and to get my foxglove seedlings in the ground. I think having the seedlings in the nursery for 1 year is fine, but after that, they definitely need to be put in the ground. I also have some winter sown seedlings that are still in their milk jugs of foxglove. My plan for those is to take them out of their milk jug and to put them in small little 3-inch pots and bring them down in the nursery. But then that's it. When they are in the nursery, they'll stay there for 1 year. And after 1 year, they're either going to get sold or they're going to get put out in my landscape. They're not going to stay another year in the nursery. So I am roughing up the roots a little bit because the roots are definitely going around in a circle. So I'm just, with my fingers, just loosening up the roots. And this will help the plant. This will definitely help the plant. Oh, so pretty. I think this is actually going to be a fun place to have a cottage garden. When you're coming up the driveway, you can see some really beautiful things, starting with the foxglove. And then I think I may put more lupine in here because I do have a lot more lupine seedlings. Such a gorgeous plant. They are all tucked into their new home, ready to continue growing and exploding in color here. This one here is more of a cream or a white color. The one that we planted in the center, based on the little tag that was in there, will be a peach color. And then we have this beautiful lilac lavender colored one right here. I'm so thrilled to have planted these foxglove with you. I can't wait to follow how they look during the rest of the season, and I can't wait to get the rest of my foxglove seedlings in the ground. Like I mentioned, I'm going to continue planting them along the long border. They're going to go towards the back of the border because really these foxglove can get very tall, very large. And I can't wait to see what those seedlings will look like next year. It really gives me something to look forward to. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, you know I love hearing from you. Please drop them down below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.